picture of all, some common tools, right, that you may encounter. Up here in the left-hand corner, you have your screwdrivers. These are called hex keys or Allen wrenches. Then we have some wrenches, crescents, and box. These are called box end wrenches. Here's a level, which uses a little bubble that floats, and you can see where the bubble is. It tells you if something is level. Some tips for different kinds of fasteners, which we'll talk about. Here's some pictures of different fasteners. You'll notice some have a flat blade type of insert there. Some have a little square recess there. We have this one's called a truss end. The different kinds of things, okay? Phillips is somewhere here. I don't know where I'm missing Phillips. There's a Phillips head right here. So different kinds of the caps or the heads, but also the different kinds of threads, and different kinds of tools, right? Different kinds of adjustable wrenches. Here's an adjustable wrench where you can slip the joint so you can hold on to different things. Here's a different kind of adjustable wrench. This is called a combination wrench often. And then there are other sockets. These are called sockets that go onto a socket wrench up here with extenders that allow you to rotate these bolts, different kinds of bolts. So these are all fasteners on the right-hand side. These are the tools for either tightening or loosening those fasteners. Plus, there's other kinds of tools as well that you'll need, is like cutting tools or tools for bending or trimming things. Hammer, different kinds of saws, tools for stripping wire or cutting wire. Okay, so there's all kinds of little hand tools, and with each tool, there are best practices for using them, and you also need to know, what they're called, and so that's the purpose of this first set of videos. So along with these fasteners, there's also for screws, as we'll see in the later videos, there are screws that go into wood or soft material, and then there are screws or bolts that have a matching nut, which allows them to squeeze parts together. And then there are washers and different kinds of shapes of bolts. And they all have different advantages and appropriate uses. So you want to start to get to know a little bit of the terminology, so that when you're thinking of a design, maybe you can realize that there are different kinds of fasteners that might be just perfect for your application. So here's a list of the common types of fasteners that you might encounter: hex bolts, wood screws, sheet metal screws, machine screws, socket screws because of the way that you drive it, and these are called lag screws or lag bolts, carriage bolts, and so on. Typically, when you're trying to design a piece or get something to fit in your specific application, you would specify the type of the head or the connector there. Also, there might be a length of the screws, the threads. These are called threads up here, and the number of threads per inch or per centimeter. How much of the length of the screw or the bolt that doesn't have any threads, and sort of the height, and again the shape of the cap or the head of the screw. So of course, because you can change the diameter and the length or the density or how the characteristics of these threads, you have corresponding nuts that go with them, or the other part of the fastener. As we've already indicated, there's all kinds of drives or different ways of controlling the rotation, to drive the fastener in. The common ones are slotted and Phillips, but there are many, many others that you'll encounter. Also, to sort of spread the force of the fastener on the material, there are washers of different kinds. Here's a split lock, often just called a lock washer. Flat washers, special toothed washers, and different shapes. Okay, now if you go to the web and you look up tools and tool names, you'll get all kinds of things. So I got a couple of little graphics here just to sort of indicate to you some of the range of it. And the videos that you're going to watch are one video on fasteners, one video on tools, and then in the tutorial there's going to be frequent references to these different tools and tool names. So you're going to get to know the names of these things. But obviously we've been talking about the different kinds of fasteners, including nails. We didn't talk about nails, but you have the screwdrivers, the wrenches, the hammer for the nails especially. For cutting you have different tools, different kinds of saws. We're not going to be using a chainsaw, I'm pretty sure, in this studio. And I don't want to leave out different ways of putting things together, even temporarily, like there are for duct tape is a useful material. Other kinds of adhesives like glues, those are important for fabrication. And then we have our pliers, different kinds of pliers, needle nose pliers, lineman's pliers, different shaped pliers for different purposes. And then of course drills, all different kinds of drills. Tape measures, different ways of measuring lengths. There are squares and triangle type things for measuring angles. All kinds of tools that we use in fabricating or in taking things apart. Here's another picture. I guess I like this one because it included some other things like the Allen keys or the hex wrenches, soldering iron. We've kind of haven't talked a lot about electrical things, but there's soldering for connecting metal. There's welding, chisels, and so on. Clamps, different kinds of clamps, electrical testers. One of the important tools in any shop or even in any lab are your senses. And so I'm putting here in the center of this slide, that your eyesight, what you're hearing, what you're smelling. No, we're not going to be tasting things in the shop or in the lab, but how things feel. These are incredibly important and very, very sensitive. And so, of course, we want to protect you as well. So if something smells bad, don't be sniffing it. If something smells like it's burning, that probably says that there's something wrong and something's getting too hot. So, use your senses, pay attention, and also protect yourself. And so the tutorial tutorial number 2 is going to emphasize the safety equipment, the personal protection equipment, and clothing, the PPE. So we're going to talk about the goggles or the eyeglass, protection glasses, the face shields for more, dangerous situations. If you're doing something that's noisy, you can use earplugs, or if it's really noisy, it might be necessary to have more significant protection for your ears. So this is a reference for you. I will put this PowerPoint into the Blackboard, and if you're not familiar with the names of these tools at all, then you can go back through the PowerPoint and watch the other couple of videos on the names of tools and the introduction to tools, and then hopefully the little quiz will be very straightforward for you. And I hope that you enjoy this small introduction to tools and equipment, specifically hand tools, and the kinds of things that you might encounter in studio when you're doing fabrication of your Grand Challenge projects. All right, have a good week.